So Mark Tyson, the drummer, and Matt, the singer, have been in bands for about 10 years. They were in a band called Cocoon up until about 2005. That band kind of fell apart with a couple of guys going overseas, and my brother joined the band, or joined those two guys in early 2005, and they formed a band called Nucleus. Their guitarist left in 2006, and I joined that band as a guitarist, and from there we pretty much started writing songs under the band Nucleus, and we changed our name in 2009 to Breaking Orbit. That's a very brief rundown. Yeah, pretty stoked. It's been a pretty long process, so pretty happy to finally see the light. We've been working on it for a couple of years as far as the recording side of things go, but I mean songwriting much longer, and even when we started the band in 2006, we always envisioned that we'd do an album, and it's taken us this long to kind of to get one finally together. So I mean it's been done for quite a while. It's been completed, like the audio side's been done for about 3 or 4 months, so it's just kind of getting all the pieces together, and it's finally out, so stoked, really happy. Yeah, we did originally start in 2010 in April, and the reason why it kind of took us so long is because sometimes life just kind of pops up and throws a few hurdles in the way. So we recorded pretty much half of the album in 2010, and from there we had a founding member leave the band, so we kind of stopped for a while. And our focus was to kind of regather and find a new member and that kind of thing. So as well as that, Matt had a little baby girl, so that kind of things have to go on hold sometimes for life, family and that kind of stuff. So we pretty much took a year off playing live and that kind of stuff, and spent a bit more time writing the rest of the album and trying to find a member to fill in, and in the end the member that filled in was the same member that left. So so that's kind of the reason why it took so long. Also, stuff that we do is fairly intricate. We've all also got day jobs and that kind of stuff too, so it's kind of fitting everything into our schedules. The reason why I recorded in a bunch of different studios is from a financial point of view. We didn't always need to have an expensive studio to record some certain parts. So the first studio we recorded in was The Grove, pretty massive studio, some pretty great artists who recorded really good albums there. It was also pretty expensive, so there was no way we could kind of see the whole album through working just out of that studio. So there are other studios we could choose to get certain parts like vocals and guitars done at a kind of slightly smaller studio for a better rate. For an independent band, it's pretty tough to kind of spend a lot of money on the album. So the easiest and most financial way of doing it is probably the best. So that's the reason why. Firstly, I really enjoy that side of things. Really into production and that kind of side of things. So for me, it was a pleasure to do. Like you said, it's a lot of responsibility and a lot of work, but it's something I was pretty happy with doing. When we first started recording, once again, it's a story because it's been such a long process. The idea of the album, the concept of the album, and the way we recorded it has kind of changed over that 2-year period, depending on what our circumstances were at the time. But when we first started, we actually did have another producer come in, Evan McHugh. He helped out with the first session, and was a great help. It was really good. So he gave us some good insight into how we should kind of tackle it. From there, our focus kind of changed a little bit, and we decided that I'd take on the duties just myself. Once again, it comes down to a financial thing as well too. Having somebody take care of it at a cheaper rate's obviously pretty good looking, but it allowed us to spend more time on the album as well too, without having to worry about the cost of paying for somebody. So we could spend as much time basically as we wanted on it without incurring massive amount of funds, and as well as getting it to our liking, so that everyone was happy. you have to separate your roles sometimes as well too. When, for example, when I was recording my parts, I'd have to get another engineer to record me rather than me kind of recording and playing and that kind of stuff. You need to definitely separate yourself away from that side. So as far as mixing the album and that kind of stuff goes, definitely need to separate yourself from musician. As a musician, you like to hear a lot of yourself. I should be louder in the mix. I want to hear my part pop up there, but as a producer you need to focus on the whole song, or album as a whole. So you definitely need to kind of, draw a line and say, I need to, compensate maybe my own part for the sake of the song. And as a musician, that's always a hard thing to do. But that's the role that you have to play as a producer. Yeah, pretty much a similar kind of plan that we had from the start. The songs were pretty much the same. I think we did plan to write some more new material, but in the end, rather than trying to put more material onto an album that's already an hour's length, it was better to kind of leave that stuff behind and for a potential second album. But as far as the songs go, it was pretty much the same plan as what we originally thought, 12 tracks. Basically. Yeah, it's a mixture of everything really. We pretty much all write in a studio together, in a rehearsal studio together. So it's a very, it's a process that everyone has an equal part in pretty much. From the initial point, someone will come to the band with an idea. So say for example Matt and Aiden are pretty much the guys that start with initial ideas. So they'll bring ideas to the band, and then from there we'll all kind of try and piece together our idea of what the song was going to be like based on that part. So someone will bring a guitar part, but Tyson will have a completely different idea for the drums as what maybe the person that even has written it would have thought. So from there, we start with an initial idea. We'll jam on it for maybe an hour or something. Try and throw some extra tricky stuff in there, and then it comes down to structuring that kind of thing. Where we might get a whiteboard out or something and we'll be writing notes and numbers and stuff, because a lot of our stuff's based around numbers. So it's pretty much within the room kind of thing. So everyone kind of stands there, puts in their part, and it's a bit of jamming, a bit of complex structuring, and that kind of thing. So. Yeah, Matt has a friend, and the friend was actually Amaru's wife. So it was his idea to kind of bring him in and have him experiment on certain tracks. So yeah, it was quite cool. I didn't know much about the idea at first. It was an idea that Matt had that he kind of ran with. And as far as what Amaru did, when he came to record with us, he pretty much just gave off his own vibe. We didn't have anything particularly for him to play. It was more that we'd get him to play along and see if it worked out, if it fit in, and it did. It fit really well for those few songs. Initially we just wanted him to come in and do parts for one song, and we just loved it. As soon as we heard it, it was just amazing, and his ideas were great. So we actually had him kind of play on a few more songs, just completely improvising. But actually, mostly improvising. There was a couple of parts on the other songs that he hadn't actually heard, because we'd given him just one song. So when he was to record on the other couple of songs, we kind of had to give him an idea. But he doesn't speak. He's from Peru, so he doesn't speak English very well. So there was a definite kind of communication barrier between us and him, and that was kind of the fun and challenging part about it as well too. Trying to communicate to him in a completely different language. Whereas we're kind of trained up on Western music and type of music, classical music and that kind of stuff. A, B, C, D, E, F, G is the musical alphabet. He was taught on Do, Re, Mi, so I don't really know much about that, but we had to kind of transcribe and that kind of stuff, what our ideas, and get it to him to try and play it. In the end, it came out great, so we're all really happy with the way it sounds. Kind of when I joined the band, I was playing in another band at the time, playing guitar, and playing another band playing drums. So when I first joined the band, it was kind of an idea to play both guitar and a bit of drums in the band. So from there, that's where the tribal kind of thing came into it. Obviously the flute and that kind of thing fits in really well with that kind of sound as well too. So yeah, basically kind of taking songs that were already made and making them into a more tribal feel. Josh Meany is the designer who designed all the cover art for the album. The concept was done by Matt. He's really big on the whole theme and concept kind of thing. He obviously writes all the lyrics to all of our songs. So and he's got an amazing vision for that kind of thing as well. So it was his basic idea of the concept of what it was to be. It kind of evolves from the last couple of single covers that we've had as well too. My Direction and Call Sign were singles where Josh also did the same artwork, or did the artwork for those. So, and they were kind of similar in the way they had, the same kind of thing, the person's head and very striking kind of images. So this is basically an evolution of that, given that those two songs are also on the album as well too. So it was an idea that kind of evolved over time. And Matt's the one that kind of ran with that concept, and on the album artwork you can kind of see the front, but on the other panels of the artwork you can see the sides, and it gives you a kind of 3D perspective of this dude and where he's travelling from. He's travelling from the future to the present to give us a message, and you kind of get a bit of an idea of that with the album artwork as well. In the track, the title track, The Time Traveller, it tells us basically that some kind of evolution of human is coming from the future to the present to basically give us information that's going to protect our civilization for the future, as well as extracting our seed to take to the future to basically to begin life again. So that's pretty much the idea anyway. Matt can tell you probably a bunch more than what I can about it. He's amazing when it comes to that kind of vision. But yeah, that's the basic kind of story of it. Firstly, initial tour, which will pretty much cover most of the east coast of Australia as far as capital cities go and major towns, but towards the end of the year we want to branch out more into places that we haven't played, Western Australia, Tasmania, those kind of places. We've got fans in those areas that have been hassling us for a while to come and play there, and we'd love to get there as well too. So we plan to kind of tour the album in certain stages. The first stage is going to be just the east coast, and then the second stage will be probably towards the end of the year will be more places that we haven't played before, or maybe regional shows, that kind of thing. So that's the kind of plan for the pretty near future. So. Tyson as a drummer, he's got a fairly unique setup, and that's when we tour, he's set up, he's kind of his kit is pretty much the way we handle all of our logistics and that kind of stuff, because he needs to travel with a lot of gear. So lots of toms, lots of snares, or actually two snares, not lots of snares, but yeah, his setup's massive. As far as my drums go, I use pretty much just a floor tom, a couple of mini timbales, and then a rack of jam blocks that are different pitch, a bell and a china. It's all pretty fun stuff to have a jam along with. Guitars these days, I'll be touring with an Axifx 2 unit, not even running an amp, so pretty much plug straight into a little 2-rack unit, which goes straight to my ears and straight to the front house speakers. So that's going to make things really easy for touring's sake. It's pretty good with the new software. You can tone match. So what I've been doing is taking all of the tracks from the album, all the guitar tracks, playing them through my unit, and basically getting my unit to match the sound of of everything that's on the album, which is pretty amazing. So yeah.
Yeah, I've heard good things about the setup. And obviously, must help with logistics on tour. You're not taking cabs and
yeah, that's right.
That's around with you.
Yeah, I've done about 6 shows with it now, and it's been great. You know, save my back, and
yeah,
and you know, when you're flying for shows and that kind of stuff as well too, you don't have to worry about kind of getting the right gear on the other side of things. You know, borrowing the right equipment and that kind of stuff too. So yeah, it's really convenient.
Cool.
The recent show that we did at the Annandale Hotel in March for the Swarm tour, that was with some awesome bands, Jericho and 12 Foot Ninja and Circles. Great bill to be a part of for starters, but that was a really good show as far as crowd goes. One of our biggest shows that we've done in the last couple of years. We haven't actually done a lot of live shows. So that was great. That's actually our new film clip that's coming out for The Time Traveller. It's actually recorded from that gig. And you can instantly see the vibe. The vibe was great. The crowd was really into it, and our performance was pretty good that night, I think. So, and it's a place that we all really enjoy playing at the Annandale Hotel. Tyson works there as well, but it's the home of live music in Sydney as far as we're concerned. So it's good to have a show there and pack it out.